Welcome to another episode of the Home Hero Podcast. Today we are going to be talking about what are new variables introduced as AI has become a search platform for consumers. What are new variables that you should be considering and paying attention to that deviates from standard tactics of SEO or search engine optimization, being recommended and ranking in Google and other search engines? So we're going to be diving into four specific new variables that are very much related to SEO, but are more tied in because of AI just being a little bit more comprehensive. So we'll kind of naturally flesh that out through this conversation. And jumping into number one, we have review diversification. When it comes to SEO and Google, obviously Google reviews are king. It's the most important place to be getting your reviews. And that still is the case. That still is absolutely the case. Don't stop asking for Google reviews just to diversify. But the reason why having reviews now across, getting some Facebook reviews, getting some on Yelp, getting some on your BBB profile. Yes, free BBB profile, something that's good to set up. That's why we do that as part of our SEO service. Um, Getting a handful of reviews on these separate platforms from your good clients, your team members, if you have employees, yourself, your friends, your family that can do you a favor and leave you a review on BBB, Yelp, etc. The reason why that's more important now with AI is that AI's ChatGPT, Claude, they're scanning more sources for information. They're not. Google is absolutely a huge pillar part of their information source because there's so much information there, and Google profiles are king. But they are kind of weighting heavier these other platforms across the web and using that to serve up their recommendations, which is why review diversification is kind of one of these new variables to pay a little bit more attention to when it comes to getting recommended in AI. Coby, any thoughts or questions on that variable? No worries if not.
I don't think so. On review diversification, I guess my question would be if I was thinking about requesting a review from my client, is there like a right time or right quantity of reviews I should get to on my Google business profile before I start directing people other places? Because I just don't see it as
Mm.
super feasible for most of the time for a business owner to go to their client and say, hey, can you leave me one on the BBB, Yelp, Google, Facebook, and Apple Maps?
Yeah, great question. And it actually ties into something I should clarify right out of the gate here, which is the percentage of leads that home services get from AI search tools is marginal at best. We're talking 1 to 5%, and 5% is pretty aggressive. This, of course, sourced from we're in various peer groups, detailed lead tracking. Consumer behavior is not near to the level that the marketing hype would make AI tools. Like you need to be recommended ChatGPT or else you're going to get left behind. That's absolutely not the case right now. This is more future planning. Will consumer behavior change as people get more accustomed to using AI tools to find local services? Absolutely. It's also worthwhile to note that if we were focused on e-commerce shops, this conversation would be so different. Their business is totally transformed because of how people use AI. We're talking about home service. We're talking about handyman businesses, people looking for a plumber, people looking for a handyman, people looking for a local shop to help with something. Consumer behavior is just not there for using tools like ChatGPT and Claude. Um, However, that percentage likely is going to tick up as more people adopt AI and start using it in various ways. So important note. So to get back to your question, Kobe, I'd say for anyone new or owner operator, if you don't have at least 20, 25 5-star reviews on Google, you should not worry about review diversification outside of if you have family, friends, maybe some like really key great clients that are like good friends and great relationship, to provide them a review link to Yelp, to your Apple Maps, your Bing places, etc. So my encouragement there would be to make it easy as possible, so to have that review link, or just link your main page to Apple Maps, Bing places, all these kind of examples I gave you. Yelp, Facebook are kind of more low hanging fruit that most of our listeners might already have. So if you don't have a pretty strong review kind of portfolio on Google definitely needs to remain and continue to be the focus. However, we all know those great, friends or clients that we're comfortable sending that to. So it wouldn't be a hyper urgent priority. You need to do that this week, but something to pay attention to, especially for businesses that are like they already have technicians or they're growing and they're looking to get more juice from the squeeze. Like we've already got a strong Google profile. We've been building SEO for years. Like, you know, this is something new I can do to kind of maybe beef up those AI recommendations.
Makes sense. And I like the point of there's so much hype around showing up in AI right now. And for a local service based business, vast majority of consumers, they're still going to Google or whatever their default browser is to search for a local service based business. And I think if a lot of
Mhm.
people listening ask themselves that, like, when was the last time you looked for a local business and you went to ChatGPT or something? You're probably going to Google. And one of the reasons I just kind of thought of, if I ask ChatGPT, what's the best handyman near me? There's no like click to call button and that shows up in ChatGPT. I can't see all the reviews directly there in ChatGPT. I can click the link that ChatGPT might give me, and then it'll take me to Google, where then I
Mhm.
finish the process of calling the business. And so I think, as of now, and that'll probably change, maybe. But as of now, people are just they're going to Google, because that's just the simplest way to find a local service based business, as it sits right now. But
Yeah.
something that comes to mind as I'm saying this is, um, how is this going to change those Google rankings themselves? Since Google has, an AI chatbot Gemini, that is starting to integrate in, standard Google searches. So I don't want to derail, where you were going to take things, but I wonder what that's going to how that's going to kind of change things, when we're talking about, AI
Yeah.
rankings, Google's AI in search.
Yeah, that's a good question. And let's note that one for a whole standalone episode that we can chat about. Um, I don't want to go off the deep end here, but I think the quick answer would be that absolutely Google has its own Gemini. Google's one of the largest, smartest. They've got the smartest AI engineers, coders, et cetera, business kind of minds. So I think people kind of lean towards ChatGPT and Claude. I think we do too, as an industry, marketers, computer, because it's more advanced, kind of more tailored to that kind of business. But Gemini is very powerful for the average everyday consumer. So that's a whole great episode. We could talk about how Google's really testing Gemini AI snippets because they have to balance revenue, ad revenue. So it's a whole business thing for them. But at the end of the day, all these tools, they rely on giving good results for queries and questions. And if they don't give good results, people are going to stop using them. And so, reviews, to that point, reviews is the easy to understand as a really important variable for your ranking and recommendations because it's the easiest way that a homeowner, that an algorithm, a bot, can identify good businesses versus bad businesses is just their review rating and their review counts. Um, Let's note that one for a whole separate topic of Google's Gemini and how that's changing search results. It's constantly changing. Of course, this is what we do. So, I mean, I'm doing Google searches almost every single day for home services, and you can really see they're playing around and trying to balance that monetary side of their business. So, review diversification. Encourage our listeners to get a handful on your, free BBB account, your Yelp. If you don't have Apple Maps, that does require a visible address, Bing Places. But most importantly, if all that sounds like, it sounds like a lot of work, that's fine. Just Yelp, Facebook business would be kind of my first recommendations there. And then to
Yeah,
expand beyond that would be Bing Places, so Microsoft's version of Google Maps and Apple Maps.
yeah. Bing is, from my understanding, I say from my understanding, from my research in in AI, asking ChatGPT, and ChatGPT says that it pulls most of its, results for local businesses from Bing's data set. So having a Bing Places account is going to be a big
Hmm.
one. It sounds like for ChatGPT specifically. They pull from different places, the different AI models.
Yeah, yeah, and that's an important note too. Is that All this stuff, Google, ChatGPT, no one tells how their algorithm works, right? And it's always in flux. A great example is ChatGPT used to source 70 to 80% of its results from Reddit. It's been at least a year now, but there was a solid like 3 to 6 months where ChatGPT is basically just like a Reddit bot that sourced all that. So it does pivot over time, but as a long-term focused business owner, having your platform set up, your base platforms being places, Google, Apple Maps, et cetera, is prudent and wise. And that's a huge reason. If you already work with us, we've got you covered there. If you don't yet, we do facilitate and take care of these things that you just wouldn't think about because you're, running a handyman business. Um, so let's get to our next few points here. So review diversification. Two, a new variable that's become a variable that's become more important now for both SEO and AI recommendations is organic socials, posting to your Facebook page, posting to Instagram, any kind of public source like social media platform. Google's now actually starting to introduce having social feeds right on your Google business profile. So in your settings there, you can add your social profiles. And then of course you'd be eligible to start pulling in your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Shorts, etc. For handyman businesses. Most out there, Facebook is the big priority. But why this has become a variable is because there's more information gathering from AI, and also they're going more in the weeds. People are more conversational. They're asking about specific, like, I'm looking for a good handyman business, and then it serves up some results. Uh, I specifically need a couple ceiling fans swapped and a drywall patch and a room painted, and then it could dig deeper into all the individual businesses, their listed services, etc. Which ties into one variable we'll get to, which is your website being more valuable. But because of this deeper search and being able to go into the socials, an active business online, from website, Google to social media, it's now a very favorable proposition to be active across these channels because it's just a little signal to these platforms that you're active, you're out there, you're providing value. So organic socials now a more important variable for both SEO and AI recommendations.
More ammunition.
That one's pretty straightforward, but yeah, more ammunition. And like Google posting is part of, good SEO. We do that as part of our service. And like taking those kind of posts and putting them to social media. If you're already active on Facebook and you're not doing Google posts, it's good to just kind of do both. So increased variable here, organic socials. My encouragement for most out there, if you're not already kind of doing organic social posts, and you're first off, what do you post about? Just post like projects you're working on, completed job photos. It doesn't have to be a fancy thing. You're mostly just wanting to have some activity there to be picked up. So post about the work you're doing or anything kind of unique, family trips, weekend plans, whatever, something that's personal and authentic. Um, and also shoot for once per week. That's kind of my encouragement for the average listener out there. A more active business with employees and office staff. A great task for an office manager or a customer service person is to do some cadence of social posting Monday through Friday. It's a great task. Attach some ROI to that role. But for most, one per week. If you're just that guy that's booked out 3 months, owner operator, totally fine. But do shoot for once per month. Have some activity there. It's good. Again, as a long-term focused business owner, we want to be focused on these fundamentals that are going to move the needle. Even if we don't necessarily need leads right now or care to be recommended AI, it's good to be paying attention to what's happening out there. Any questions on the organic socials that comes to mind, Coby, from your more contractor handyman perspective?
No, it's pretty straightforward, and just in general, AI aside, just being in more places usually is better when we're talking about marketing. Just more chances for people to get in front of people. So it's just good practice all the way around.
Yep. Yeah, and it's always been like for SEO, organic socials used to do just nothing, and that was just like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and it's really been over the last year that activity is now has more benefit because again, these algorithms they want to find authentic, great choices, and so all else equal. good rated businesses, nice website, good information. One's posting on socials about their work they're doing, and one's not. There's a lot more context and information to serve up that one that's doing the socials. So, second, be posting on your Facebook page at a minimum. If you can feasibly, without too much added time and effort, cross post to Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok. Those are kind of the main ones that Google's picking up for home service. I believe LinkedIn's thrown in there, but I mean, what handyman has LinkedIn? I don't even
Right.
have a LinkedIn.
Right.
So review diversification, organic socials. Next up, we've got brand mentions, and this kind of ties with organic socials. What this means is people talking about your business online. The lowest hanging fruit here is going to be public Facebook groups. So engaging within your local community groups on Facebook. That's something we highly encourage as part of your regular marketing cadence. Um, Naturally, being in the community, you might sponsor events or a baseball team or whatever it is, and there's going to be some brand mentions there on social, maybe someone else's website. um, those mentions of your business now are becoming more important even without a link, because this context is being able to pick up at that local geographic level when they're looking for Jason's handyman service, and it's like, oh well, he's part of the chamber and sponsors the little league team, and they got mentioned for this, that, and the other for community events. So the best way to go about this, if you're active on Facebook groups and Facebook, that's naturally might pick up brand recommendations or brand mentions. And then two, just being an authentic member of your community as a business owner is naturally going to pick up those brand mentions. It's huge for SEO. Also becoming more important because of the more context that can be gathered from AI algorithms. Um, did any thoughts or questions on that, Coby? I know you did pretty good in the community with Rust Belt remodeling, as far as just kind of being naturally in there and known by friends, family, and the community.
Yeah, I mean, networking, just networking in general, BNI and local chamber of commerce and all that sort of stuff. Again, big picture important, but a lot of that stuff is there's kind of an online counterpart to that. I mean, being listed in your local chamber of commerce on their website,
Mm-hmm.
comes to mind. Being listed on, you get listed on the BNI, network, website thing if you're a member of the BNI. We were active in all of the local community groups, Professional Remodelers Organization and the Home Builders Association. And usually, when you're members of these places, they get you listed on their website, on their directory.
Yeah.
Then we make Facebook posts about it. They make Facebook posts about us hosting one of the meetings for the remodelers organization, and just it's generating activity, and again, just being in more places for more eyeballs, which is kind of a secondary effect of the just more genuine in-person networking that you do in the community. So lots of benefits.
Absolutely. And if you're a part of those groups too, a lot of those tight knit BNI circles, they're actively strategizing how they can recommend each other. Even just a simple cadence of some of like making a social media post recommending, your partner, your referral partner that helps, realtor that's going to be recommending your handyman business, and then vice versa. Perhaps bring that up to your tighter knit BNI circles. Could be a good strategy that naturally gets brand mentions. It's good for everyone's AEO, answer engine optimization, getting recommended AI, also SEO. So good stuff there. So natural community engagement is kind of the best solution in my opinion. And it's not even, don't do it for the brand mentions because you heard this from a podcast. Do it to be a member of your community. There are tangible ROI that comes from being a member of your community, engaging, being part of these groups, sponsoring, showing up to the farmers markets with a little booth, etc. So many benefits that come from that. That's both ROI, business, financial, but also, it's a joyful part of being a business owner to connect deeper in that community. Um,
What last one more
yeah,
thing there that just kind of came to mind. The more I've since I've been here at Handyman Marketing Pros and gotten a little bit more to the weeds of the SEO and everything, the more I'm realizing, and I think it's shifting even more of this direction. But you brought up a good point about Google as an example. They're fiscally incentivized to put the best businesses in front of in front of their users. It's all of these SEO and AI strategies. Like the foundation of it is like we're trying to just provide good, honest proof that you're the best business in your area, that you're a good, reputable business. We're not like trying to do these like cheat codes and like keyword stuff pages on the website to mention Handyman more times than the next website. It's just you're a good business owner, you run a good business that takes care of their clients, and we're just giving these, search engines, AI included, more ammunition and proof that that's the case. So they're incentivized to put you in front of people. So it's not about cheat codes or anything like that. It's just you know be a good business owner, and we got to do a little bit of legwork to kind of prove that to people on the internet. But
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great point, man. And yeah, it's cool your perspective as working with us as a client for 3 or 4 years with your business's SEO, and then coming into the cave, and seeing how it
yeah,
all works, right? Um, we certainly have some secret sauce and some kind of tips and tricks of being in the trade. But good SEO, good AEO is really the good structure and packaging of a business and communicating that really well to algorithms. But what I love about how SEO and AEO has developed over last few years really is the importance of authenticity and being just truly a great business is good for your rankings and recommendations, because being a good business, you're going to get reviews, you're going to get brand mentions, you're going to be in your community, you're going to be posting organically on social media, you're going to be getting repeat clients, you're going to be a thriving business that of course has its ups and downs, it's part of business, but absolutely, it's not a successful business is not about getting the most hacks and tips and tricks. It's about a stable, strong, like function of communicating your business in the online terms. But you cannot do that well without a good business. That's why we communicate to all our in our sales calls, and when someone signs up, like, hey, like, we're going to do our part, but here's what we need you to do, call people back, run a good business, provide a high quality service, because if you can't do that, then people aren't going to refer you, call you back, and going to stall and slowly kind of fall off. So good observation there. The last point of a more important variable to SEO that's come from AI is the website itself. Your website is now significantly more valuable, and by significantly more valuable, I mean that the the value of your website has increased more with AEO, with answer engine optimization, with AI algorithms, and also Google just developing Gemini and getting sharper. The jump in value that your website hit there over the last, I would say, 1 to 2 years is the biggest jump in, kind of modern times of the web, in my opinion. And it's because these algorithms now are digging deeper. They're going beyond the Google profile. They're going beyond just analyzing the website for keywords and structure and trying to pull out like as minimal they can to give results. They are going deep to find, if you got pricing, your service list, your service area list, recent reviews, possible problems. If there's some string of 1-star reviews that say they don't call me back, AI recommendations now are gonna probably note like, hey, just a note, if you do call them, there's some complaints about them not calling back. Of course, any service issues could be flagged there. So a big part of this deeper research, though, is your website, the information you can communicate there about your services, about the details of your services, like for TV mounting. Um, like, do you mount TVs on like just, drywall? Can you do it on brick? Can you do it on, my wood paneling accent wall? Like, you can add this context about like answering frequently asked questions about services, about your business, about your pricing, and AI, Google, they love this stuff. And the development of technology allows them to go deeper at a more individual level for all these businesses. And so a business that has a very well built, structured, informative, helpful website, helpful is the key word. Um, they're going to be winning this AI recommendations compared to their competitors. They're going to be winning SEO compared to their competitors. At the end of the day, we need helpful, informative websites that answer people's questions. The last point I'll make on this, it's been like coming up, I think it's been 4 years now. It was July of 2022 when Google started rolling out their helpful content update. It was a huge algorithm update that it's rolled out over years, and it was to combat AI content, fluffy AI content. While AI has been more on the forefront for consumers and most businesses over the last 2 years, I would say, when it kind of went more mainstream, it's been a topic in the community and marketing for quite a few years. And so I love that kind of is my emphasis here is helpful content update. Google wants to show helpful content. AIs want to serve up helpful businesses. And the value of your website being helpful, answering questions, providing context, how you could help them is more valuable to not only your reader, but also to getting recommended AI and ranking in SEO. That was a lot of information, Coby. What are your
No,
thoughts and
it's
questions you got for me?
the first thing that comes to mind, and it's something I talk about super often with people I have strategy sessions with about Google's helpful content update, and it shows itself in AEO as well. But understanding like what is helpful to the intended visitor of your website, and so a common strategy or what people think is a good strategy for local service-based businesses is blog posts about how to replace your garbage disposal or how to patch your drywall or things along those lines. And this is Coby's kind of observations since I've been in this space. What's actually helpful is like the project posts that we do where we're providing proof to Google and visitors of the website like, hey, this is actually the types of work this guy actually does for this type of person in this specific town, city, neighborhood. Here's the review, here's the evidence. That's what's helpful. If people are going to your website as a local handyman business because they want to hire somebody to get work done in their house, not because they want to learn how to replace their own garbage disposal. And so it's helpful in this industry, looks a lot different than it might in a, like Home Depot, for example. Like they might be doing blog posts on how to replace your garbage disposal because they sell garbage
Absolutely.
disposals. It's just
Yeah.
it's different, and that's part of the reason why our project posts that we do with our clients, work so well. The one that comes to mind is John Gann. Shout out to John if you're listening. I had a conversation with him. We were doing his project post, and he was like, "Oh, I was checking things out, and my friend was looking me up in Chat GPT, and it kept saying I'm an expert in attic ladder installation, and but I've got 30 other services listed on my website or whatever. But that was the most recent project post that he had done was about attic ladder installations, and it was talking all about that particular project post. So just kind of an anecdotal piece that the AIs might be leaning a little bit more into that kind of organic content rather than just a page that says, "Hey, I do all of these things." Showing the
Mhm.
proof that you actually do it in that service area for this particular type of client. That's what came to mind.
Yeah, man, for sure. And that's so, your point about content about how to replace a garbage disposal. I wouldn't go as far to say as that is misinformation for the marketing industry to say you need to be creating blog content about how to do something. I almost want to say it's misinformation, but I wouldn't go that far. And why I say that is someone searching for how to repair my garbage disposal. First off, out of the gate, they're probably not an ideal client. They're looking to just figure it out and do it themselves. They're not searching for a handyman. They're not searching for a plumber. They're searching, how do I fix this? Big difference in like the mindset there. Even if they are drawn to ultimately hire somebody, like they're gonna have to be convinced because it's gonna be too hard themselves, or they don't have the tools, whatever it may be. But that's not even the main point that I want to make. The main point is that those kind of posts are eaten up. Those searches are going to be served up YouTube videos that from guys walking you through it. I know because I've watched them. And also Gemini, it's going to give you the step by step on how to do it yourself. Um, Further to that, Home Depot, familyhandyman.com, like your home improvement blogs. Was it Chip and Joanne? like people in the content business space, they have massive SEO authority and content around these things. I think that, in my opinion, a regular home service business, eh, spending time and energy making content about how to do things that you can do for your clients is a waste of time. I don't think it's a good SEO tactic. You're competing with content companies that's what they do for a living. That's how they make their money. You make your money by actually fixing the thing. So that is where my recommendation for when it comes to website content. Of course, we want to answer frequently asked questions. Like there is a common problem that could be an easy fix. You can address that on your website or just mention it on the phone when someone's actually asking about it. I've had that experience with a local electrician. He's like, "Oh, I think I know what this is. Check this for me, and if that's not it, let me know." And that was it. I didn't have to pay them. It was a great experience, and we've been a client ever since. But having content that focuses on the work that you're doing and making sure your actual service pages or the service information on your website kind of answers those questions about, can you hang a TV on brick? All these kind of variables that go into more of your service, and explaining it and showcasing it through actual projects is the highest value for a local home service business, a local handyman business, rather than the how to do something. It was a little off the beaten path, but certainly a relevant point that's good to bring up because there is a lot of content out there that says you need to be making that stuff, and it's just not true. To kind of close off this tangent, I will give someone an actionable item on that general subject. Is if you've done all the main important things for marketing, this is kind of a later thing. This is not something, if you're a startup listening, you should not spend your time doing this. Okay, it's more high value revenue tying activities than creating a truly local, hyper local to your local community, a more home maintenance guide that would help them throughout the year, knowing when it's spring, summer, fall, winter, based on your geography, your weather, etc. Like, what are some good things to be paying attention to for your home maintenance? I think that is one of the most valuable true content pieces that's more evergreen that could be applicable to a handyman business. But further in the life cycle, there's more important activities to spend your time on than creating something like that. I think most notably, if you have a maintenance program, you're signing up people for a subscription program for quarterly inspections or biannual service, whatever that looks like, connecting that with a helpful piece of content that educates the customer on why it's important to pay for that maintenance service, because they don't want to do it themselves. That would be my one caveat or my one divergence on kind of that content business kind of focus that you could deviate into that would be valuable.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, so we got off the beaten path there, but your website is more valuable. Um, any additional thoughts or questions on why that would be, Coby, at this point?
No, I mean it makes sense. It's the way I understand it from a semi layman handyman, I guess, is how can I create content or be in more places that's helpful to my ideal client, and the different search engines, AI, they're incentivized to put me in front of those people if I'm providing helpful content or proof that I do good work and I'm a good business. That would be valuable to my intended client.
Yep. So the highlights there is just a well-structured professional website, FAQs. A later life cycle that we do as part of our pro plan is creating service pages and city pages. It's really, best fit for a more established owner operator or someone who's actively hiring, already has technicians. But at a base level, just a super helpful website, explains your services, has an FAQ. If any of our clients are listening, we're developing a newer process now to help facilitate that FAQ process and getting them on the website. So do reach out to us about that if you're tuned in here. So to recap here, guys, there are 4 new kind of variables that have come from AI that I think is very beneficial. It helps with your AI recommendations. It helps with SEO as well. They're very closely, almost identically connected at this point for home service businesses. Um, Review diversification, get a sprinkling of reviews on other main platforms. To be posting to your organic socials once a week at a minimum. 3, engage in your community, naturally get brand mentions, sponsorships, etc. And then four, your website is significantly more valuable today than it was a few years back because it's being viewed more and referenced more by Google and AI tools to satisfy searches and give people good results. If you guys have any questions on this subject, drop us a comment, send us a message. We do this to be helpful, and so we'd love to answer your questions, talk about anything in more detail. Just let us know. We do see everything. We'll reply back to you. We are real people. So we'd love to hear from you if you have any additional questions or other topics you'd like us to discuss. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.